This video will demonstrate how to export recommendations in the Summit desktop applications. So to get started, I'm going to come up here to Data Management. I'll click the Export Data option, and then I'm going to select this center one here. It says Export Recommendations. And I want to do this for commercial fertilizer, but you would pick whichever one would be the appropriate one. Down here on the bottom of the screen, you've got all these different options as far as from Ag Leader down through the Vision System. So you pick the one that would be the correct one that you want to send out. You want to send this out. Let's just say it's going to go to a Viper 4, and it's going to be a shapefile. So I'll go next. And we're going to ask you, what do you want to send out? So in this case, if I want to send out all these recommendations, and I'm not going to pick all of these, but if I pick a couple here, there's a potash for 19, and here's a lime back in 18. But you pick whatever you want here for each one of your fields. So if I pick a second one, I could come in here and say I want this potash, I want this DAP, and the like down through here. The option here is to create a multi-product recommendation, which means that since I picked two here, if I check mark that box, that's going to create one database, and it's going to put a PREC in one of the columns of the database, and it's going to put the KREC in the other one, or the DAP and the potash. If I leave that unchecked, and I've got two fields and 4 recs I'm sending out, I would get 4 separate shape files, but in this case I would get only 2 if I did this across here. You can also combine across the product types where possible as far as the types of products that are being utilized. If I go next, it's going to ask here, well, how do you want to name this? And I'm going to go by grower and field name. You select the export location where you want to put this at. I'm going to come in here and put this for the 2020 season, and I'm going to put it underneath Bob Anderson and hit OK to that. And then come down here and you can show a routing map, you can create load sheets, you can check mark product rec summary. Some of the older formats, you can update the recommendations to zeros, which it would have been a null before. I export that out. It's going to export those files out to that location, and once that completes, I'll take you there and show you that. In this case, I had told it to create a routing map, so it's asking me a starting location for that routing map. It will route me from Kokomo, Indiana to field 1, and then from field 1 to field 6 if I use this option here. If I choose to use the first option, that's just going to go from Kokomo to field 1 back to Kokomo to field 6. So it just depends on what you're trying to do and if you're going to spread all the fields in one time. When I hit next, it's going to continue the process, create the actual map, and show me that I'm 19.4 miles from Kokomo to this first particular field. Here's an inset map of the field itself. Here's the driving directions. I could print this off, of course. Go next, and it takes me from the first field now to the second field, and the driving directions from there, and there's a picture inset map of the second field. I'll just shut both of those down. When the process is complete, you'll get this pop-up box that said the recommendations were successfully exported. I hit OK to that, and if I come down here and open my Windows Explorer up and go into that location for where I put those at, I'll come up here and go to that particular folder and open up to Bob Anderson, and there's my files. Now, because I had elected to put these into the one particular file, that's in the database, that's your non-spatial information. Shapefile is your spatial, and the SHX is the relationship that pulls the spatial and non-spatial together. So in this case, that's the 1. If I open that text file up for field 1, that's the actual lime and the potash for what I elected to send out with all the parameters for the order. And then the same way, here's field 2, or the field 6, the second field, and here's the text file for the 2 products that I had kicked out for that particular field. So down here at the bottom, we also have the 2 reports, which are the summary reports, which I told it to create there in a couple of screens back. So I get my recommendations for my min, max, average, total amount of product for each of those across the fields, and the lime is not calling for anything, but the potash is calling for 8,304 pounds roughly.